Gamers, welcome to another episode of the Slow Run Cast. I'm one of your anti-speed running hosts, Muhammad Ali, aka the Iraqi Balboa, joined by my friend and co-host, Derwin Luke, aka the Derwinator. How you doing, man?
Not too bad, not too bad.
I just
I
realized
heard you wanted to die this week.
die. What are you talking about? I I always want to die, but what are you talking about?
Some domestic murder here.
I don't know what you're referencing. I'm so confused.
So it was your wife's birthday this week, right?
Yeah, it
I
was
heard
her birthday
you
was on Wednesday. Yeah.
I heard you were telling her that she's fading.
Oh, okay. So I got her roses, right? And I found these
Yeah.
roses. They're like white, but like the extremities, the tips are like red. So it almost looks like the rose was red and the color faded. So I got it for her, and then like on the spot, I was like, "See, these remind me of you now that you're 30." She's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Because you're fading away. You used to be like a red rose. Now you're turning white and old."
I'm surprised she didn't just kill you
Nah,
right
she
there.
but she knows I'm trolling, right? She knows my freaking sense of humor. She looked at me, she started laughing. She like told all her friends. Yeah. I realized I didn't have a what do you call it? I didn't have a thing for you this week. We press play on the podcast. I'm like, what do you do this week? I'm like, and we already know he's the weightlifting, PR breaking, I'm like, he came back from Mexico last time. I don't know. I didn't think about it. I was like, shoot,
Okay, I had
missed
one for
opportunity.
you.
Oh, you have one
This
for
is
me. Let's
wanting to
go.
die.
Huh?
No, that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah, it was like I don't know the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster, Horizon Zero Dawn remaster 100%ing. Oh my god,
Yeah.
Nugget. But when I did call you, you were at the gym today, right?
Yeah, I was.
I called
I
you
was.
this morning, and I'm like, is this guy like the flea market or something? I'm like, oh, he's at the gym.
Yeah, yeah. I just started like deadlifting, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta finish this up so that we can record this episode for you guys."
Yeah, yeah. So, listeners, we got a good episode for you today. We'll do the regular, give you all the updates of the gaming world for the week of November 24th, and talk to you about some of the games we've been playing. Uh, and we have some good, exciting stories for you today. And the first story is something which is a missed opportunity for us because when we were filming last week, this news dropped mid mid filming, and we were taking a break, like a half an hour break in between. I was putting the kid to bed, and then we like did 2 minutes, and then it booted me out talking about this news story, and then I guess it never saved it. But as we were recording last week, news broke out from Bloomberg that Sony is working on a handheld console for PS5 to rival the Nintendo Switch and by extension the Steam Deck and the Lenovo Legion
Yeah,
Pro and the
ROGLI.
yeah. So, man, what are your thoughts both on what happened to us last week and this?
It was so sad.
Yeah, I was like,
We
oh,
had like a really good segment where we were both like super shocked
yeah,
that
because it like dropped, yeah, right away when we were there.
yeah. And then I was saying how I wanted to just like throw out my PS Portal cuz
do,
man,
do you
I
remember?
mean it,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, do you remember last week when we were talking about the update to the PS Portal about
Mhm.
how now you could play PlayStation games directly from the cloud and not remote play from your PlayStation, and you were like all excited about that, like, yay, now my
Yeah.
portal's useful. And then like I go for break, I come back, I'm like, yo, look at this news that just dropped from Bloomberg, and you're like,
Right. Useful and then just straight in the garbage again.
yeah, yeah, I'm
But
excited for this.
yeah, we were saying that it's probably still like a whiles away.
Mm.
And I mean, PlayStation has a history of consoles, the Vita 2, or sorry, the
The
Vita,
Vita,
and then
this
you
is the
said that
Vita
you were going
too.
to call this the Vita 2.
Mm.
So, I mean, I think they're further than Xbox, really, just because they've previously made a handheld. and Xbox seems to not know what they're doing this generation.
Wait, you think Sony is further than Xbox for making this, or the other way around?
I think Sony is going to be further ahead. I mean, they already have like previous experience building handhelds, right? So they have probably talent
But
left
that's
over
I
still.
still think it's a little different because those handhelds, because I think handhelds are in a new era right now. Before, handhelds were these things that played specific games. Like the games you played on your PSP weren't the games you played on your PS3.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
different titles entirely. Same with like your Nintendo DS and your Wii or your Game Boy Advance or you know? But now I
yeah,
feel like we're in an era of handhelds where the handheld itself is expected to play the mainstream games that are coming out, right? And to play them with at least some level of like capability, not to have the same performance as a home console or a PC, but to be able to run most of these games. So I think
hmm,
it's like a different ball game technologically. Like this thing's gonna have to play God of War. It's gonna have to play. It's not gonna be. They're not
yeah,
gonna be making spin-off God of War for it. Like they
yeah.
were doing
That's
for the
true.
PSP.
That's true. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
so then Xbox, do you think has an edge if they make this handheld console more of a streaming device? Because their XCloud, I feel like probably works better than what Sony's done in terms of cloud gaming.
they're not making a streaming device. I think they already said. Phil Spencer's already hinted that
Yeah,
this isn't
yeah.
a streaming device.
But you don't think that it'll have the capability to?
Oh, it'll for sure be able to stream. I don't
Yeah.
see why not. I think the Xbox One will be able to stream because your phone could stream the Xbox games.
Hmm.
They don't need a device to stream, right? You could stream from anything,
Yeah.
but it's all yeah. So it'll have the same capability
Multiple
of the
ways to
streaming,
play.
but yeah, yeah, multiple ways to play
Yeah.
streaming and
I think that'll be
probably.
interesting, but we'll see how both of them will go head to head if they come out at relatively the same time even.
What do you think? Do you think we're gonna get something this console generation, or do you think it's gonna be next?
I think it'll most likely be next.
Yeah, I could see it being like a
Yeah.
next console generation. It comes out like either in line with the release of the consoles, like as a skew to the consoles,
Mhm.
or it'll come out like a year or two offset after them, similar to like the PSVR 2 when it came out like 2 years after sorry, was it 2 or 3 after the PS5? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of things to buy if you launch everything at a PS6 launch or something like that, right? Or an
Yeah.
Xbox One X2 or whatever they wanna call it.
I think we're too late in the consoles generation to be releasing new hardware that sounds like it's a bit further away that's going to need several years to be worked on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because this is not coming out next year, either the Xbox or the PlayStation 1. It's earliest it'll come out is the year after that, 2026. At that point, the next
Mhm.
console generation is 2027. You want to buy the new handheld that can only play the PS5 games when the PS6 is coming out? I know there'll be like obviously now with console generations, the overlap between the two is so like we
Yeah,
just got
so
past.
wide.
Yeah. Like, we just got past the PS4, really. They just recently stopped making PS4
Mhm.
elite versions of brand new games. And they still are, but I'm just talking about, like, the main ones. The
Yeah.
mainstream, like, big double AAA games.
Mhm.
So we'll see. I mean, this is early news, but it's exciting for sure.
Yeah.
Um, Sticking with Sony, PlayStation veteran Shuhei Yoshida announces his retirement from Sony. Uh, this is crazy, man. This guy's been, like,
Mhm.
the face of PlayStation for a while. I know he's no longer at SIE. I know he works in some other departments in Sony or higher up. Like he's
Yeah.
not just PlayStation anymore.
Yeah.
But
Ordered. Yeah, and his last day will be January 15th, 2025.
yeah, yeah, like he's a big veteran in the video game industry. I think he was.
Yeah.
Was he the interim? CEO while they were filling in the role of Jim Ryan. I think he might have been for
Not
a little while
sure.
this year,
He's
earlier
he's
this
had
year.
a whole bunch of roles.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a top
SIE
dog. Yeah.
worldwide president. He held the position from May 2008 to November 2019. Uh, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, all things come to an end, right? But no, good for him. Good for him on his retirement, and he's had like a successful, wonderful career, right? And I think
Yeah.
like PlayStation wouldn't be where it is as a brand without him, for sure.
Mhm. Joined in 1993, so the
Yeah,
year that
I
we
think
were
he
well, that
over.
I was born.
Yeah, like I'm born in '94, so he's been around longer than I've been
Been
alive.
alive.
Yeah, and I have gray hair, so it says something.
Yeah.
um, uh, well, it actually doesn't say anything. It just says I probably have a vitamin B12 deficiency or something, or genetic
That
disorder.
you're a silver fox.
Yeah, but like I think he oversaw the PS1 like launch and like that initial success, the PS1. Like he was kind of one of the big architects and masterminds behind it all.
Mhm.
So, yeah, man, the video game industry owes a lot to that man.
Yeah.
Sticking with Sony and sticking with Sony Interactive Entertainment specifically, apparently Troy Baker is reuniting with Neil Druckmann for Naughty Dog's new untitled game. I don't know why they're calling it an untitled game. Have we officially confirmed that Naughty Dog's next game is not and Last of Us Part 3 or Uncharted something? Is it a brand new IP?
I
Um,
think there was news that it was gonna be a new IP, I thought, because they wanted to do, like, more of an open world game, right?
yeah. Come to think of it, I do remember Neil Druckmann did an interview about probably a year ago or something where he said he's open to doing a Last of Us Part 3. He just needs the plot down, and that tells me that the game that they've been working on the last 4 years is not the Last of Us Part 3. It's something else. And
Yeah.
also, we recently got the news that they were working on something else besides Last of Us Online. So thankfully, we're not that far long away from a Ubisoft,
Mhm.
from a Naughty Dog game.
Yeah, I wonder if this is the game after, like, just like, they would've cast somebody if they were already working on, like, a new game, right? So, like, this is just saying that he would be willing to?
Yeah, good
It'll be
point.
interesting.
Good point.
Yeah, right?
Good point. Because this could mean just like he's gonna start working with them, but it's like if they are that far along in production, maybe he won't be on that next game. So maybe it is
Right?
Last of a Part 3.
Like, 5 years, and then now we're just finally hearing about,
That
him signing on to the game? It seems a little bit like
that's a good point.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, Troy Baker is who plays Joel in The Last of Us Part 1 and 2.
That's probably his most notable role in video games,
Yeah.
but Troy Baker is easily one of the most prolific voice actors in video games.
Mhm.
He's on a ton of roles and he's on a ton of games, but most notably, he's famous for the Last of Us role
Yeah.
as Joel. And actually, the up and coming
Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
Jones and the Great Circle, he is playing as Indiana Jones. He's cast as Indiana Jones, and I'm sure you've heard the sneak peeks of him actually mimicking the voice
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard a bit
of
of it.
what's his. Sorry, why am I forgetting his name?
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford. Yeah, have you heard a little bit of the from the
Yeah, I've
trailers and
heard a
stuff?
little bit of the
I mean,
dialogue,
he
the
kind of
cutscenes
sounds
and
like
stuff.
Harrison Ford. It's insane.
Yeah.
This guy's very talented.
Did you also hear that there's enough cutscenes in that game to have, like, 2 full movies or something like that?
No way.
Yeah. I was reading it, like, popped up. I didn't read the whole article, but I was just like, "I will play it, and I will see if there's actually that many cutscenes,"
That
but,
sounds
like
like a Baldur. You know when the Baldur's Gate or whatever has more dialogue than Game of Thrones or something when
yeah.
they said that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be
I'm
interesting.
actually curious what else has Troy Baker been on recently? I know he's actually also in Uncharted, right? Troy Baker's in Uncharted, but I think he's like a side character or a villain or something in Uncharted.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember
Yeah,
if he is.
yeah. I'm always excited when Troy Baker's on board, and
Yeah.
let him use the range of his voice. Don't just cast him as Troy Baker. Well,
Yeah.
of course, he's on Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Remember in the trailer?
Yes,
I think
yes.
he's the guitar guy, right? In the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Man, he was in Batman Arkham Shadow that just came out. Holy.
man's and everything.
He was in God of War Ragnarok as one of the squirrels?
Oh, the must be the squirrel that, that
Yeah.
oh, is it the lead squirrel or is it just one of the other
No, he's
ghostly
just one of the
squirrels that
bitter
are kind
squirrel.
of
He's the
back?
bitter squirrel.
Oh, he's a bitter squirrel. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Um, he's in a game that I'm gonna talk about on the playlist, which is crazy. I didn't even know this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well,
He's in Far Cry 6, um, The Medium. He's in Miles Morales?
who does he play in Miles Morales?
Simon Krieger. He does a lot of, like, smaller roles too. It's not like
Yeah.
everything is he's the star. Uh, but yeah, he's, I mean, like, the list goes on. I guess he's
Yeah.
in the OG God of War as Magni as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. He's in Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor as Talion. Yeah, dude, he's prolific. Like, I mean, the amount
Yeah.
of roles he's cast in, and he's just a great voice actor, wonderful. So,
Mhm.
um,
Well,
s-
talking about other voice
yeah,
actors.
yeah. So take it away because you put the first news story, and then I
Yeah.
put the next news story on the playlist
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
show
It
notes.
was kinda funny. So, Christopher Judge, who plays, Kratos in the new God of War, was hinting on an Instagram Live that there's gonna be major God of War announcements in the coming weeks. That's what I had put down, and then you had let me know right before the show here that, there was apparently another post right after from him himself as well, just basically saying like, "Oh, I don't know anything about what's actually coming on. Like, you know, like there's nothing that I know of." Basically, just shutting down that whole rumor.
So to which point you told I initially understood as maybe we misunderstood the news stories or something,
Yeah,
but to which point you told me, I bet you there is God of War news coming out,
yeah, and he
and
uses
Sony called him up and told him shut the hell up. Yeah, but he like shut it down solid. He shut it out by saying, "Oh, I wish I knew too. I'm waiting for them to call me." Which at
Mhm,
first I was alarmed because I'm like, bro, they haven't called you yet. That means they're not making a or new God of War if they haven't called you yet, because it's been 2 years since Ragnarok's out, like,
mhm,
and a year since that DLC. Like, surely they got something started up here, to, you know,
yeah,
which maybe not. Maybe like in the earlier days of the game, you don't actually do that yet. You don't voice act and motion capture. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm
mhm,
reading too much into it, but also I think it sounds like your theory is the correct one, especially since he said something and then proceeded to say,
yeah,
"No, man, no one's talked to me."
yeah.
Yeah,
He probably like pulled a Tom Holland and like misread something. And was like, "Oh, I actually can't say that."
yeah.
Yeah.
um, what are your thoughts on where Sony Santa Monica is? What are you looking for their next game?
I do really want another God of War. Doesn't matter if it like you know is around Kratos himself or around like Loki or Atreus. I think I would like to see kind of like the main character to be Atreus, but then like Kratos kind of shows up in like the middle. I think that'd be a really cool like, oh, this is going to be an only Atreus game. It's going to be a spin-off and then like everybody gets surprised when Kratos comes out of nowhere. That'd be pretty sick.
I just I don't think I care about Atreus enough to play a game of just Atreus.
Really?
I'll be honest
I
with
liked
you.
him as,
Even those missions where you kind of play as Atreus
yeah,
in Ragnarok, not my favorite.
yeah, you just like to be a bearded man.
Yo, just bald-headed bearded man just with an axe screaming. Oh man, visceral combat. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of okay with whatever they're gonna give me. I'll take it. I'll gobble it
Yeah,
up.
I mean,
I don't think
the
they'll be able
story's
to.
good.
I don't think they'll be
As
able
long
to
as the
hit a
story's
high
good.
for me again like they did with God of War and Ragnarok. Dude, Ragnarok, me and my buddy lined up outside of GameStop. It was minus 30 when that thing came out. and we got copies at like 10 p.m.
Yeah.
the day before it came out, and literally it was like a weekday. I can never forget because it was Wednesday, November 9th. Wednesday. No games come out on Wednesday. This game came out on Wednesday. So Tuesday we
Yeah.
picked it up, bro. I was up to like 2 in the morning that day, went to work the next day. Yeah. I love those games. Uh More Sony news. Apparently they confirmed that the PlayStation 2 has sold 160 million copies worldwide, making it the best selling console of all time. Still, it was always the best selling console of all time, but with these
Mhm.
new numbers, I think it puts them. I think maybe I don't know if the Switch will ever catch up. It's up in the air. They're getting pretty close, but
Yeah. So, just numbers wise, the Nintendo DS is at 154.02 million units sold, and then the Switch is at 146 million consoles sold. They're pretty close. I
oh,
mean,
so I thought the DS was more than the PS2. So this new number, this new figure is basically saying that why is it a new figure anyway? Are they still selling PS2s?
right? That's what I'm thinking too. I'm like,
That's what I'm like.
is there like something that we're missing? Like, are they selling it to like
Third world countries? Are they still
Japan
producing
still?
it? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, so that's based on Sony's last official report of its numbers, 150 million in 2011. So, like, you're telling me in what, the last 14 years?
In 2011, 2 years before the PS4 came out, you were at 150 million, and you sold 10 million units between 2011 and now during the PS4 and PS5. Like, are they
Yeah,
still manufacturing these for like third world countries?
I don't know. That's really weird.
It's really weird, actually.
Finally, so they ended production in 2013. So it looks like,
Okay,
so like maybe they're just because maybe some retro stores might still have some, right?
but brand
Brand
new
new, but
ones,
I mean, I
yo,
haven't walked into a store and seen a PS2 that's brand new in like
bro.
ever.
Listen
I
to
mean,
this. Um, listen to this comment on the IGN article.
yeah.
Nintendo in 2026, colon, apostrophe. We've sold 150 million Switch consoles. Okay. Then it goes Sony, colon, apostrophe. PS2 has sold 170 million units. So he's basically suggesting that this number is
Yeah,
BS. They just upped it when the Switch was getting close.
yeah. That's funny. And I mean, who's there to fact check them, right? Like, who has that data other than
Yeah.
Sony?
Yeah. I don't know. That's kind of weird because like the 2011 numbers, this in 2 years, they sold another 10 million. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't even know where they were selling them to. I don't remember seeing PS2s in like 2013.
Right?
Yeah. Anyway, good for them. You had a PS2 growing up, right?
My cousins did. I never had a
Oh,
PS2 growing
actually.
up. Yeah.
No way.
I was
What?
actually mainly a Nintendo household.
So you had a GameCube?
I didn't have a GameCube, I had a Wii.
Oh,
I had
so
an
you like
N64, a Wii, um, 3DS.
oh damn.
Yeah.
So you never even got on that console generation.
Well, I had a Vita and, yeah, I mainly played with, like, my cousin's PS2 and stuff and PS1.
Oh damn. Dude, I
Yeah,
was
man.
PS2 was I guess PS1 was the first console I played on. I used to play with my uncle a lot. He had one, and when I say my uncle, I'm talking about like he's 8 years older than me, right? So
Mhm,
it was, but PS2 was the first console like I actually owned at home. Man, I love that console so much. It's amazing,
mhm.
so much memories. I wish I could go back just to the PS2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The Wii had a lot of good memories, but, I mean,
I miss
kinda
the Wii,
grown
man.
distant
Yeah, I
from
miss the Wii,
Nintendo.
man. That was one
Yeah.
console I missed big time.
It was game changing,
It
like, in
was
terms
for
of
sure.
a gaming experience.
I was literally on the 360, being a sweat on Halo and Call of Duty during
Yeah,
that
yeah.
generation. Yeah. So sticking with more Sony news, and we got a lot of Sony news this week actually. I guess it's not really Sony news, but kind of is. Tencent has revealed this new game called Light of Motierum, which
Yeah.
is clearly I don't want to say copycat, but heavily influenced by Horizon Zero Dawn. Um, I'm not sure if it's crossed the line into being suable. There is some talk on the streets about that, but like clearly thematically, like it says Horizon written all over it. Um, I know we had a similar copycat earlier this year in PAL World. And Nintendo looks like now they're in full swing to try and take that game down. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think of
Mhm.
this one. You're the one who sent this to me. You saw the trailer.
Yeah, yeah, I was looking at the trailer and, like, they basically, like, almost have the same setting. It's, like, post-apocalyptic, like, the machines look very similar. They've got, like, the blue lens still, and, like, I'm looking at this article showing the design of the ones that Tencent put out, like the from the game of Light of Motoram or something, and the Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm like, they look pretty similar. Like, copy the homework, but make it look different.
Well, I mean, clearly, yeah, clearly it's influenced by Horizon Zero Dawn. There's
Mhm.
no even question. It's not even a coincidence.
Yeah, they describe it as an open world survival crafting game.
So the
So
genre is slightly different.
yeah, just like how Pal World is like slightly different.
Yeah. You think this is gonna eat up the lunch of the Horizon MMO that's coming out?
I don't think so.
I don't
They're
know. Yeah.
I mean, they're kinda like different games. I mean,
Can you think of another like blatant copycat
I mean,
that was
what is it?
legit?
Like, they're not copycats, but, like, remember that rant you went on about all the W named games that, like, all kinda
Yeah,
look
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
same to you? Yeah.
They look and play the same, but they're not actually copycats like they
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Yeah. I think there's like a game called Daymare or something like that. It's actually like it's like a Resident Evil 2 and 3 and 4, like the newer ones. It's like a copycat of those. It's like a 3D over the shoulder survival
Yeah.
horror, like blatant. Um, I mean, Pal World. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there's tons, it's just, right off the top of our heads, kinda hard to.
Best of luck to them, man. Um, Speaking of Horizons, this is not Horizon Zero Dawn, but this is Forza Horizon. No
Yeah.
relation. Uh, Apparently, the Forza Horizon, Forza Horizon 5. There was a PS5 release that was ready to go, but it's been delayed. This is being claimed, and this is from Insider Gaming, so they usually know their stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised if this is true,
No, I'm not surprised at
based
all.
on way Microsoft is going right now.
Yeah.
With the, I mean, we already talked about it last week. They added Hi-Fi Rush and Grounded and Sea of Thieves and Pentiment. All were the first four Microsoft first-party studio games that got launched on PS5 earlier this year. We already know Doom Year Zero is going to be, I think, day and date launch with PS5. It's not going to
Mhm.
be a console exclusive. Word on the street is Marvel's Blade. Also, when Marvel's Blade got announced 2 years ago, it also didn't show the logo, the Xbox Studios
Yeah, yeah.
logo on the bottom, so they're saying that might be their hands being forced to do that by Marvel, maybe, I don't know.
Mhm.
And then recently, when they gave us the announcement release date for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle as being December 9th, in the same announcement, they immediately said coming to PS5 in spring
Yeah.
of 2025.
And I mean, they even said that Halo is, like, open to
Yeah.
come into PS5, so
Yeah, we talked about
yeah,
that
not
on the
not
show.
surprised at all.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of time, I think, and we'll
Yeah.
see. But now Gran Turismo has competition. I guess this is Forza Horizon, not
Yeah,
Horizon
yeah, it's
Motorsport.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So this is the more arcadey one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which I bet you both will end up. on the PS5
Yeah.
eventually. Yeah.
When's the
And stick
next Need for Speed game? Do we know that?
well, there was Need for Speed Heat and Unbound. I think Need for Speed Heat maybe came out in 2020, and I feel like Need for Speed Unbound came out in 2022. I
Okay.
think so. They're not. There's Need for Speed games have been coming out. I just don't think they have the same cultural impact as they used to have.
Yeah, where there was, like, basically, like, one after the other every single
Well,
year.
used to like Need for Speed was like a household name. Like it was like, okay, you
Yeah,
got the new Need for Speed game. It was a big deal. I don't feel like it's a big deal anymore.
yeah.
I also don't feel like racing games are a big deal anymore.
Mhm.
They're much more niche than they used to be.
Yeah, I mean, flight sim games seem like they're taking off.
Yeah, I mean, like Flight Sim used to be super
Yeah,
niche, and now they can't even get
yeah,
a
now they can.
server enough to handle the amount of players that want to get on. But no, you
Really?
remember when you were a kid, it was always like you get the racing game, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
like the
always like
racing game was like a staple, right? You got Burnout, you got Need for Speed. I
mhm,
played with Gran Turismo when I was a kid, like 2, I think it was, or 3. Um, you know, you got the racing sim, and it wasn't just like it was both racing sim and the arcade games. A lot of the arcade games were super fun, but now it's like it seems like it's almost like a dead genre that's kinda it's not dead,
yeah,
it's alive and well, but it's just seemed like it's niche. It doesn't
yeah,
seem to, like, garner the same amount of attention.
yeah, I don't see any news regarding the Need for Speed next one, but that's fine. It just reminds me of, like, oh, damn, like, all these arcade racing games, like, we gotta talk about, like, the OG one.
Yeah. Need for Speed was December 2nd, 2022. Need for Speed
Mhm.
Unbound. That was the one that had, was it Travis Scott or was it someone
A$AP
else in the
Rocky.
trailer? ASAP Rocky, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, one of
And it
the
was like thematically the color for like the burnouts and the yeah.
yeah.
Moving along and sticking now switching to Microsoft. Do you see that? I was Sony, and then I picked the story that
Switching gears to Microsoft, you
switching
gotta
yeah, 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 right there. See? Yeah, I'm getting better at these segues. I guess you're not good at the segues if you stop mid segue to explain how good the segue
yeah,
was. That
yeah.
means it's no longer a good segue. Yeah. So Microsoft's confirmed that the new Windows 11 update basically kills a bunch of Ubisoft games on PC. And now we got more Ubisoft news every week. Every week. Yeah. So Star Wars Outlaws, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and some other Ubisoft games are, I don't know, they're just not running.
Man, I feel bad for Ubisoft at this point. I feel like we've bullied them into, like, a corner.
They make great content for this podcast. It's not even Ubisoft's fault. It's the Microsoft update. I don't know
Yeah.
why specifically Ubisoft games. But don't worry, we got more Ubisoft news for you, folks, because Ubisoft is apparently asking Steam to hide the concurrent player count.
For, Star Wars Outlaws. I
Oh
mean, it's
my
probably
god.
0 on any PC that runs Windows 11.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, there are no concurrent players because the game's not running.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is more embarrassing that this news came out that they actually asked Steam to do this.
Yeah,
Like,
it's, like,
come
real
on, man.
shady.
Like, by the way, from a business perspective, I actually understand why a publisher wouldn't want a concurrent count to be, like, publicly known, especially on a game that isn't doing good concurrent.
Mhm.
Obviously, the reverse is true. If your concurrent player count is 200, 300,000, you want that to be known, right?
Yeah.
Because it's almost like now a metric for, almost like a review, you know?
Mhm. Yeah,
It's like,
because then
let's
you
see
can
what the
see
Steam
this.
concurrent is. Yeah.
Yeah,
30,000, 40,000, 100,000. Oh my god, I
yeah,
need to play this game. 5 people playing this game? Oh, this game's garbage.
yeah. I mean, you
Like,
also have to look at context, right? Because, like, if this came out, like, you know, a year ago and there's, like, not that many concurrent players, then that makes sense. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, if you see the sharp drop off, then it's like, and like how many hours in that this game was released and you see that sharp drop off? Are people finishing the game or are people like just like can't play this anymore?
I mean, I think the Steam concurrent player count maybe it's a small piece of the pie,
Hmm.
but it's one of the pieces that brought Concord down, I think,
Oh yeah,
for sure. Like you said, well, Concord, okay, it's on PC. Let me check it out. Steam concurrent players, launch day, 700 people. This game is dead. I'm
yeah,
not buying it. Why would I buy it? It's dead. If on launch it doesn't have 1,000 players, this game doesn't have any legs, right?
yeah,
If they released it only on PlayStation and nobody had any idea,
yeah. Then you don't know as long as like you can find a match, right?
yeah, you have no idea. You'll be like, I'll pick up this game. It looks cool. You have no
Yeah,
idea it's going to be dead in 6 months or in a year
or in a week.
or in a week. You don't know. You're like, okay, I'm getting match. But if you're playing on Steam, let's see what the concurrent players is. It's a multiplayer game, especially for a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
Oh, 700 people? No, this game is dead on arrival. I'm not picking it up. So I can
Hmm.
see why Ubisoft wants this stuff hidden.
Yeah.
Uh, More Ubisoft, baby. Apparently, from insider gaming reporting, that half of Assassin's Creed Shadows devs have never built a game before. I I don't really know
I don't know if I
if
believe this.
even if it is true, what's the big deal? It's a huge game. It's probably got like 2,000 devs on it, right?
Yeah.
You do you need every single dev on your team to be 10 years experience? Makes no sense. I think this is a known. I mean, I'm the one who put it on the show notes. I'm the one who's talking about it, and now I'm telling you it's not real news.
Fake news.
Yeah. So I don't know. You do, but you said you don't believe it.
I don't bel I mean, I believe that there's probably, like, a large number, but, like, to s to say that to give it an actual figure, like, half of it the Assassin's Creed's, like, devs have never built a game, it's like, I mean, that's a pretty specific number, and, like, on top of that, like, they might not have actually built, like, a triple A game, but, like, they must have some sort of experience to be hired. You don't walk in there, do an interview, and be like, "Yeah, I've actually like never built anything before," and then they go like, "You're hired," right?
Yeah.
Like, there's some sort of hiring process, and like there must be some sort of experience that allowed them, or some sort of previous like background or education in order to for them to even be in the room, right?
Yeah, you carry it over from like something else where it's relevant, right?
Yeah,
Or they're brand new, but what do you people
yeah,
need first jobs, right?
yeah.
You know, people don't just show up to the workforce with 10 years
18
experience.
years of experience.
Yeah. Right. But it's also like with all the layoffs that are happening and stuff like that, you sure you can't hire some of these other devs that have like 10 years experience?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe that's also, I don't know. And then lastly for Ubisoft, the gift that keeps giving. Um Also reporting from Insider Gaming exclusive, there's new details about an Animal Crossing like from Ubisoft called Altera. Are you an Animal Crossing fan?
I'm not a big fan.
No,
Yeah,
man, that
I
was
never played it growing up, so like to me, it's just like yeah, I don't know if I really care for this. Like Harvest
you
Moon and like, farm sims, I'm like, "Oh yeah, like I'll play that." But or Stardew Valley,
Stardew
but
Valley. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
the only farming sim thing I ever played, and I played it religiously, was remember when you like you probably still can, but when you played like games on Facebook,
Farmville? Is it Farmville?
Farmville. Holy smokes, I was deep into Farmville. We should
Yes.
get farming sim. Yeah, my wife loves Animal Crossing. She was all part of that whole Animal Crossing craze. Remember when COVID happened?
Yeah, during COVID.
I mean, that game couldn't have come out at a better time, literally. That like release date was so perfect for Nintendo. Not that that
Mhm.
game wasn't gonna sell,
Yeah, it
but
blew up though.
it blew up big time. I remember it was like so hard to get a copy.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure I trust Ubisoft to make a Animal Crossing like. I don't wanna hate because I don't care anyway. It's not like I'm gonna play it,
I mean,
but
they
they're trying
trusted
to
them to make a they were the one that made the crypto game, right?
the crypto game, yeah, we were
Yeah.
talking about that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
How we keep dunking on Ubisoft. You gonna buy are you gonna buy Assassin's Creed Shadows? You gonna play Assassin's Creed Shadows
Probably not,
for
dude.
the podcast? Come on, man. We need you.
You just love torturing me. You just make me play the games you don't wanna play, and I have to
Yeah,
review
you
them?
go play Dragon Age of the Veilguard. Go yeah. I'm not playing Dragon Age of the Veilguard, but we have a podcast. We need to talk about it. Derwin, you're on it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
my homework?
Yeah. We need to like divide how we're gonna play these next games coming up in February and decide who's gonna.
Yeah, who's gonna
I'm
be the
calling
guinea
dibs.
pig?
Huh?
Who's gotta be the guinea pig?
Yeah, I'm calling dibs on the next Monster Hunter, the next sniper game, and
I'll do Dynasty
Kingdom Come.
Warriors.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's the one I for
Assassin's
sure
Creed
wanna play.
Assassin's Creed Shadows, right?
No, no, no.
And Avowed.
And about no, thanks. Just give me all the
I've been
bad ones.
I've been hearing good news about Avowed.
Oh,
They did
yeah?
another play like test or a preview or something. I heard a lot of good news about it, but I look at that game and I'm like, nope, no way. I
Yeah.
feel the same thing about that game as I feel as about Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Maybe I'll
Yeah,
be
I'm
two
not
for two,
interested either, but
but you're gonna
one
play
of
it for
us
the
maybe has
podcast.
to play it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, unbiased reviews here, okay? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, that's the big news from the big three: Sony, Microsoft, and Ubisoft. The
Mhm.
three that give us. But moving along to the actual third of the big three, Nintendo, and there are reports right now that the Nintendo Switch eShop is closing in 2026 in China. That's not the DS. That's not the Wii shop. That's not the Wii U shop. That is the Nintendo Switch that we're playing with right now. 2 years closed in China. And it does not seem that we know why at all.
Yeah.
There's no word on the street as what the reason is.
So,
Um,
what do you
yeah.
think it is then? Speculation-wise, here we've got our tinfoil hats on. Like,
I
what's
think
the
it's
reason?
something's gone awry with Tencent. Because I think Tencent manages all Nintendo's stuff in China.
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken, it manages probably like the publishing and all this kind of stuff in China, and they distribute for them or
Yeah.
whatever. And maybe they just had a disagreement. Maybe they had a contract coming up for renewal, and they had a
Mhm.
disagreement about how they're going to deliver, and so that they just basically maybe Nintendo's being dramatic and just saying, "I'm going to kill myself if you don't."
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just
If you
like,
don't
yeah,
do this.
2026, I'm shutting this place down. You better
Yeah.
give me a deal. Yeah. Seems like a ways away from 2026. I'm sure that can be rectified in the next 2 years or
Yeah.
year and a half. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You're not gonna move to China and pick up flexible brain school before the
No. No, no, I'm good.
you're sure you don't want what the heck is flexible brain school anyway?
No
What's Dr.
idea.
Kawashima's brain exercises? Are these Nintendo published
Yeah, they
games?
must be like, here is a game, and you have to do these math exercises, or like these, like
Like
those
brain
old school, like elementary school games, like like Math Blasters. I think
math
that was like a,
or wasn't it cool math for kids or something?
yeah, like where you basically just like play a game, but it's just math.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe something like that.
Mm.
But so let's give a few dates here. So they're closing it down March 31st, 2026, and then on May 15th, online services, including the ability to redeem codes and download software, will be cut off as well. Do you think that some people are going to try and just play another game and just constantly keep it up for a few more months past that?
This is like a full shutdown, right? This is not even a
Yeah.
soft one. It's not like you can't even buy games anymore. No, you can't even download your software that you
Mhm.
own.
Yeah. It's
You can't
crazy.
redeem any codes you already have. There's going to be no online services, so you can't like play any multiplayer games online.
Yep.
That's nuts. I mean,
So,
this is why we always talk
yeah.
about, like, physical versus digital, but it's crazy, man.
Yeah. And then what is it? So they haven't given it a reason why. We've already discussed that. And then basically they're giving players in that region 4 free games from a selection of like 12. And like notable ones are obviously like Mario Kart 8, Super Mario Odyssey, new Pokemon Snap, some Pokemon Go, Pikachu and Eevee. Those ones
Yeah.
like some bigger titles. So I mean, does that really ease your pain? That,
I
like,
mean,
you
is it
can no longer re-download any of the stuff that you bought?
I mean, they're such POSs because these are, like, the oldest Switch games too.
Yeah,
Like, these are like, you couldn't give them Mario Wonder, you couldn't give them Tears of the Kingdom, you couldn't give them, like, Princess Peach Showtime, you couldn't give
right.
them any of the new titles that you just released.
Okay, so
You
here's my
couldn't give
next
them
question.
Pikmin 4.
So, like, they're giving you these 4, but you only have until March 31st, 20 no, so May 15, 2026 to re-download these, and then if you ever, like, your Switch dies or, like, you know, your Switch is sent in for repairs and they have to wipe, like, the memory on it,
Yeah,
you
you nailed
don't
it.
have these
It's
games
go
anymore,
yeah, yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly what it is.
right? It's like, yeah, I'll give you the whole library, and then like a year from now, if your Switch dies, sorry, you don't have your whole library anymore.
Just
You can't even download it. But we do
I
still
mean,
sell physical games.
but theoretically, if you left China, it would work, right? Or if, even if you're connected to a VPN, right? Online?
Yeah, I guess so. Hey,
Yeah, if you just VPN'd it, then you'd be okay.
I mean, I'm not advertising that you should not or that you should use a VPN in China because like that's not what we're saying here.
Oh, would
But
you get in trouble if you did that in China?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, because technically you're like working around their laws and their security. So yeah, I mean, I guess
Oh,
technically
okay.
you could.
Can you just change location on the Switch? New Zealand
Oh,
region?
like reset your Switch and then
You
just,
know how you
like,
can change
sign
your
up?
region on your console?
I wonder. I mean, I guess people will have to figure it out in
Y
China.
I think it'll know. Yeah. I mean, by then, hopefully the next Switch comes out.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
they
then
can
there'll
move
be a
on.
new agreement for
Well, good
Switch 2 store or
well
something like
well,
that.
good point. What's gonna be if they can't come to an agreement about the Switch, what are they gonna do about the Switch 2?
Yeah.
I'm just assuming they can't come to an agreement.
Mhm.
What are they gonna do about the Switch 2? Doesn't it's not apparent to me that they're gonna shut down the Switch store in 2 years, but then actually have a Switch 2 store open.
Yeah. Or maybe it'll just be physical media.
I don't know, man. Physical is king. And sticking with Nintendo, maybe they don't have maybe it costed Nintendo too much money as part of the agreement, but Nintendo so they're, like, saving money for, like, "We don't wanna do this with Tencent, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah." They're asking for too much money. So they save money from that, but then they use the money to go sue people, and they pay for their lawyers because
Yeah.
that's our next story. The Nintendo files court documents to target the 200,000 member subreddit Switch Pirates. If you remember, maybe 2 weeks ago, I talked to you about how one of the mods in
Mhm.
this subreddit, they tracked him down via, like, addresses on some repairs he sent out to Nintendo and,
Yeah.
like, some of his things he said in on the Reddit, and they found out he lived in, I don't know, Sunrise, Arizona or whatever, and they got this guy and they're suing him now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like they're going after more of these people. Yeah. They
That's
got the money
crazy.
to sue you, but, they don't got the money to, I mean, makes sense. This is why their games never go on discount, or they go on discount for, like, 10% off. They need the money to sue
Yeah.
200,000 people. They got a
Like,
lawyer up.
this is like an opposite of like a class action lawsuit, right? Because usually it's like a lot of people are getting together to sue like a major corporation, but now it's like the major corporation is coming around and suing everybody else.
Oh my god. Oh, man, Nintendo.
Yeah. So
What a co
you better pray you're not one of the 200,000, I guess,
Yo, bro,
because
you
like
better not be on don't think you're freaking immune from Nintendo's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They're gonna get you, bro.
Yeah.
They they're gonna show up on Judgment Day.
Yeah, they're gonna
The
track
Lord
your pizza order like they did with
yeah.
Andrew Tate.
With who? With
With
Andrew
Andrew
Tate?
Tate, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or, there was another story, this isn't, like, gaming related, but, like, the one streamer in, like, Korea, did you hear about this guy? I think it's, like,
No.
Joe Somali or something like that, so, like
Oh,
yeah,
that guy who runs around and just
yeah,
terrorizes
yeah.
countries he visits? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, he pissed off a lot of Koreans, and then, like, one the he was streaming one day and from, like, a secret location because he already gotten beaten up a few times, and then they saw the pizza box, and then they saw the exit sign that he showed in the back of his video, and they, like, tracked him down, and they beat him up again.
No way.
And
Bro,
now
that
he's
guy didn't he do the same thing in Japan?
yeah, yeah. So they let him go in Japan and he got like an emergency passport and got out of there and then he went to Korea to try the same stuff and now he's like in jail and he's facing like potentially 30 years or something like that in jail
In where?
in
In
Korea,
Korea?
South Korea, yeah.
Woo. I think there was, like, other countries he tried this on. I think he did it in Israel, and I think he did it I can't remember where else. Yeah, but that guy, that's wild. They tracked him from the pizza box and they beat
Yeah,
him up?
yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's like I think a pretty big podcast on Spotify that covers all of this as well. It's pretty funny.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I
Okay,
I
what's
just
the
like it.
podcast gonna be about?
I'm sure most people like it when like some some idiot gets his just desserts. So,
Yeah, yeah. Yo, I just imagine, like, Nintendo showing up on Judgment Day in front of God, and they're like, "This guy, he pirated
yeah,
pirated
yeah,
Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. He was playing them 4K on PC.
yeah, yeah,
Get him."
yeah, yeah. You go straight. Yeah,
He's
you die. You wake up in the bright light. You see God, and then like Nintendo just walks over and be like, "No, no, 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 no! Like,
and then they throw
no
you in hell.
heaven for you."
They throw you in hell. Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, anyway, moving along. This is some good news. This is feel good news, I think for sure. CD Projekt Red is saying that The Witcher 4 is now in full production. And Cyberpunk 2077 tops 300 not 300
30
million,
million.
30 million in sales. And a new Cyberpunk 2077 Netflix show is on the way. Good news all around, I think.
Yeah.
I'm happy for CD Projekt Red. They're saying that The Witcher 4 is number one of a new three-part trilogy.
Hmm.
They've said some stuff which I'm like, okay, maybe you shouldn't have said that out loud because you're just putting your foot in your mouth. But they said they want to turn around the trilogy in 6 years' time, which that's
Who do they
cap, bro.
think they are?
I don't know who they think they are. 6 years' time, so they want to release. Basically, that's telling me Witcher 4 will come out or whatever they call the new trilogy. Didn't they say it was gonna be the main playable character was gonna be not Yennefer? What's her name?
Uh, no idea.
Uh, Siri. Yeah.
Those are completely different names.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just the two main girl characters. I just
Yeah.
was trying to yeah, so they want to it sounds like they want to release this number 1 of the new trilogy. 3 years later release the next one, and then 3 years after that release that. So in 6 years they turned around a
Yeah.
trilogy.
Dude, they need to take some notes from RGG Studios.
You know, I actually heard someone on a podcast suggesting that maybe it would be like reuse assets. They use the one
Mhm.
world. It'll be the same world with the same map, and then you just come back to the world in different games, and maybe areas have changed because time has
Yeah.
passed. Areas have changed because environmental factors or whatever. There's new NPCs and new places. Some buildings have been destroyed. New buildings are up. I don't.
I don't hate
I don't
that.
mind
I
that at
mean,
all. I think that's a
if
very
you establish this world as this, I mean, nothing's gonna change, like
yeah. You don't need a new map or whatever. It doesn't have
yeah,
to be from scratch. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
No.
Like,
I'm totally.
storytelling is, like, the most important thing, right? Like, you know
Yeah. Because otherwise, dude, like their games have been 5 years apart. And really, we can't say The Witcher or Cyberpunk 2077 came out 5 years after The Witcher, because what came out in 2020 was a god awful mess.
Mhm.
Really, Cyberpunk came out last year, let's be honest.
Yeah.
2020 to 2023 probably wasn't even worth playing that much. Maybe the beginning of 2023, but then with the Phantom Liberty DLC. So your games are, let's say, 8 years apart if you want them to come out without being a buggy mess.
Mhm.
If they actually are 8 years apart, we're gonna be 24 years older, bro, if you wanna play this trilogy. You're gonna be playing the Witcher trilogy when you're 54, the last game. It's not a feasible. Like, you can't even maintain the same producers and writers for the game and the same developers. Like, it won't even be. I know this is a whole bigger conversation about development times and costs now for video games is in this decade. But at some I mean, and God you heard what Sony Santa Monica did with God of War, right? How they were gonna do a trilogy for the
Mhm.
Norse mythology gods of war.
Yeah.
It's gonna be God of War, the reboot, 2018, Ragnarok, and there was gonna be a 3rd game. And they opted to just cut it short and do 2 games because a trilogy would have put you know, across a decade to,
Yeah.
plus, because you gotta think about the development time before, so 5 years before, 15, 20 years of development on a trilogy, like, that's like half a person's career, which I know would be a very nice career to have,
Mhm.
but eventually people get burnt out, they move, they find new jobs, they get married, whatever, like, it won't even be the same, it'll be very
Yeah.
hard to maintain the same
Ship
structure.
of Theseus.
Yeah. Yeah, so what w I don't mind if they reuse assets like that
Yeah.
to
I
get
I
this
personally
Witcher out of
don't
the door.
mind as well. Like, I mean, when your engine gets, like, super old, then obviously, like, you need to build a new one, but,
They
you know.
switched, I think. They switched to Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I should also add, that's not the only thing they're working on. They're working on a Cyberpunk 2077 sequel too. I don't think
Mhm.
that's in full production. And they're also working on a Witcher 1 remake. So they're trying to release this trilogy in 6 years plus do those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems a little bit ambitious, I think.
Mhm.
I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But
Yeah.
whatever. Like, I'm excited for this. And then, like, Cyberpunk turning it around, man. That game was a catastrophe when it came
Yeah.
out. Like, it was just an absolute disaster. Like, CD Projekt Red's name was in the dust. Like, it and then, it's still, like, whatever. They got pressured by their shareholders to release the game. They were behind. You remember the year it came out, 2020, how it got delayed about 3, 4 times in that
Yeah.
calendar year? It
Yeah, yeah.
was supposed to
It was,
come
like,
out in, like, April.
earlier in that year, and then it got pushed to, like, November or something like that, right? And then it got pushed.
I think it was, like, earlier in the year, maybe April or something, and then it got pushed to, like, a September,
Yeah.
and then it got pushed to a November, and then they had to even do, like, a final push to get it, like, 2, 3 weeks later, and it came out, like, on December the
Mhm.
9th or something like that
Yeah, and people were saying
at
like,
the
"Oh,
time
it's
of the
gonna be
talk.
good, it's gonna be good," because like, they pushed it back so much and they're probably working on it, and then it was opposite. They just
It
needed more
was
time to cook.
yeah, it was god awful, but they turned it around. There's a few games that are always able to do that. I would prefer if your game came out complete,
Mhm.
but, No Man's Sky is another famous example.
Yeah.
But that's good for them, man. And then, the Witcher Netflix show, man, or the Cyberpunk Netflix show, a new anime. I am excited for that. Have you watched Edge Runners?
No, I haven't.
Dude,
I haven't watched Arcane either. Like, I'm behind on, like, the
Derwin,
whole gaming ones.
Derwin. Oh my god, man. Cyberpunk Edge Runners is one of the best pieces of, like, not just video game adaptation or just simply anime. It's just one of the best, like, shows or anything I've watched, any type of media within the last few years, like, that I could think of. It's top. It's like top 5 there. It's so good. It's so good. Bro, just watch it right now. Let's get off the podcast right now.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
go watch it.
just cut it.
I
We're
swear to
done.
God. Oh,
You're
yeah,
ref
you need to watch that, man.
gonna hold
Cyberpunk
a
Edge
strike
Runners
on me?
is so good, bro. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just get off right now.
It's like I
Upload the video.
refuse to podcast with you any further until you finish watching this.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, man. I mean,
How many episodes is it?
it's
Maybe I can
probably
crank it
only
out.
8 or 10 or something. It's and when it came out, everybody was talking about a sequel, but it was like a one and done. It
Mm,
was supposed to be a one and done.
yeah.
One season, that's it. Here's the little
I mean, I'm
contained
fine
story.
with
It's
like a one and done one. You can focus on like another character in the same world or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that, right? Like,
yeah. and it's yeah, so it's like it's not the cyberpunk story that's in the game, it's just in the world, it's in
Yeah,
the
in the same
universe.
universe.
Yeah. Um, bro, I literally remember going back to God of War. I remember this came around the same time God of War Ragnarok came out,
Mhm.
and I was watching the show, and I finished the last episode of the season, okay, of the show, literally with tears in my eyes. It was like 9 o'clock. It was cold, -30 outside. I hopped in my car, drove to GameStop to pick up my God of War Ragnarok copy on launch night at 10 p.m. Um, uh, and I was listening to like the ending theme from the anime. And I'm just like sitting there driving. It's like -30 outside, and I'm just thinking about this
On
Edge
this
Runners. And
guy.
then I went and picked up God of War. Oh my god, I can't remember. I can't forget that memory. It was so good.
Yeah, just a
Yeah, dude.
roller coaster of emotions for you.
It was. It was.
Yeah. I got
Yeah.
Ragnarok on a code, so, like, I didn't have to go launch day or
But
anything like
it's
that.
I mean, I probably could have done that too, but I was just like it was just on a whim. I just started calling places up. I'm like, "Does anyone do midnight launches anymore?" And I called the one GameStop on, near 130th Ave by
Oh, you
Mackenzie
went all the
Town.
way down there?
Yeah, I went down there too
They didn't
from the
do
north.
Sunridge? Because usually
No, they were
Sunridge
the only
does.
ones who did it. I called Sunridge
Oh, wow.
first, of course.
Mhm.
But those guys, because 'cause they're not part of the mall, they're
Yeah.
their own, like, building. They're like, "Yeah, dude, we got enough pre-orders." They always do. Those guys still that GameStop specifically still does midnight launches, releases. And midnight is because it's midnight Eastern time, and we're in Alberta, so it's actually
Yeah.
they actually give you the copy at 10 PM. You can come in at 10 PM.
Oh,
Depending on
dang.
the game, I call them. I'm like, "Did you guys do midnight launch?" Depending on how many people pre-ordered, they will.
Yeah.
They will do a midnight
Dude, we should
launch.
do a midnight launch episode. Just
Yeah,
vlog
that'd be
it.
sick.
That'd
I
be pretty
wonder when
fun.
the next big I bet you they'll do one for Grand Theft Auto 6 when that comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I'll be,
maybe a big release. We'll do it. We'll, like,
yeah,
vlog it
it'd be
real
so
quick.
fun to go, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, more good news from another developer that well, I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but a developer that I like, Remedy Interactive or Entertainment, says that Alan Wake 2 sold 1.8 million copies. They previously said Alan Wake 2 has covered the cost of development. Um, 1.8 million copies in video game world for a AAA title like Alan Wake doesn't is not good news actually. Is it's kind of bad news because if you were to assume, and which isn't actually the case because things go on sale, but if you were to make the assumption that they were selling this for 60 US dollars, and that we're talking about dollars over here, 1.8 million copies gives you 108 million dollars, which by AAA standards, especially hearing I know we know more about Sony's titles and how much those have cost to develop. 100 and Sony's big AAA titles easily surpass 108 million in cost.
Mhm.
We know about the notorious Spider-Man 2 costing 300 million, you know. We know about like Last of Us and Horizon costing approximately 200 million. So maybe they're telling the truth, but there were rumors early on in the year that Alan Wake 2 was not selling well or didn't sell well from 2023, and there was fears that they didn't make enough money or that they didn't make their money back. And then recently they announced, I mean within like the last 2 months that they offset the cost of production after a year of it being out,
Mhm.
which is still not great because that first year is when you're going to make your most sales, right?
Yeah.
After that it's just going to dwindle and you're going to sell the copies for cheaper. So I am a little bit worried. That's not very good numbers. Um, I know it's a survival horror game. I know that might not be the most accessible genre, but in the same light, they did mention that in order for them to break even on the production costs of FBC, you know that game that they showed at the
Yeah, yeah,
Xbox thing we
it's like
talked
Fire
the
Break something?
Firebreak something, yeah, I can't remember. It was called FBC. It's in the Control world.
Yeah.
It's the co-op one,
Yeah.
and then Control, it would need 3 million copies to offset that, and then Control needs 3.4 million copies to break even. That's Control 2. That's very weird to me. Like, how would they say that Alan Wake 2 has offset the cost of production with 1.8 million, but then FBC Firebreak, which I don't think should cost as much as Alan Wake 2, needs 3 million. I don't know. I don't know how they came up with this projection.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried for them, but hopefully they ride out the storm. Um, and we'll see where that goes. Um,
Talking.
so we got some news from one of the Mass Effect co-creators. They started their own studio called Studio Human Origin, and it's actually been abruptly shuttered in the midst of their development of some AAA sci-fi game, which is unfortunate. I think basically it came down to lack of funding. The co-founder is Casey Hudson. Yeah, and he's just saying there's a funding shortfall. Another one of those terrible news stories that I feel like have just littered 2024 and 2023 when it comes to video games. It feels like it's nonstop
Mhm.
studio closure, layoff, downsizing, cancellations, delays, just development hell. It's so unfortunate. It's like a boom and bust, a boom that we hit at the start of COVID, and now everything's just coming crashing down hard. Um, yeah, I mean, the video game development world it's a risky market. It's just dangerous. It's like you're supposed to sit there, like, work on something for 3, 4, 5 years
Yeah.
and operate with zero profit. You're not making any money. Your company's not making any money the time you're making a game, right?
Mhm.
You're literally either being funded, or you got like a publishing deal, or you got, if you're lucky, right, you got a publishing deal, or you got you're an in-house student, you got a publisher behind you, or you're trying to get some funding from somewhere, you're operating entirely at a loss, you're going into debt, you're you're taking money from the bank to be able to pay your employees and pay for your software and pay for all your development costs. So you're literally in debt that whole time, on the hope that when you ship your game, you're going to first break even with interest if you're taking loans,
Yeah.
right? And then make some money. And then it's going to be profitable enough that you're going to be happy as a business owner, and then all your employees will be happy. Maybe some people will get some, you know, bonuses, and then maybe you have enough extra cash left over all that to just front your next game.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you just screw up once in that cycle and you don't really have some good funding behind you, it's over.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we'll never see the light of day for anything that whatever they were working on.
Yeah. And I think that's where like the
One,
indie games are kind of like maybe the one that you want to start with.
well, you nailed it. The
Yeah.
indie game is the gateway now to development with lower risk involved.
Yeah.
You can make an indie game as a passion project on the side now.
Yeah. Like the one
And
like the many people that like are a one man team like Balatro.
Balatro, exactly,
Yeah, or
right?
Stardew Valley
Vampire
is also like a one man team technically too.
which
So
which game?
Stardew
Sorry, I
Valley.
didn't.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley, yeah. Um, you know, Vampire Survivors, right? Like, that was also one man team. But indie, the is depending on how you code your game, your development time might be less, you know? Your development cost might be less. You have less employees working on this thing. It might be just yourself, so you don't really have any development costs, right? And then ship the game and make money.
Mhm.
So yeah, the AAA business is a dangerous business now, even for big publishers like Ubisoft. We see Ubisoft on down to their like last legs because of some of their AAA or quadruple A, as they like to say, flops. So
Mhm.
yeah, unfortunately. Um, Speaking of independent developers, Devolver Digital, who is one of my favorite indie game publishers, did this delayed awards recognition thing. So if you don't know much about Devolver Digital, they are like an indie, like I said, they publish indie games. Um, they always have an annual showcase, indie game showcase, and it's always silly, it's always jokes. And to stick with that like theme, they created this award show for recognizing games that have been delayed to 2025. And the best inadvertent tripping simulator goes to Baby Steps. I don't Have you seen this game?
No, I
It's like
haven't.
this physics. It was on like a PlayStation, I think like State of Play or something at one
Yeah,
point in time.
I actually
It's like
haven't seen any of these ones.
it's like
Maybe
this
I
game where
have.
you like do you remember on like mini clip games playing that game where you're like supposed to be a sprinter or racer, but
Oh,
you
yeah,
have to
yeah, and
press
you're,
the
like,
keys
trying to
at the right
run,
time?
and then you're just like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so search up Baby Steps. It's like I think it's like similar to that. Obviously on like a higher scale, like 3D and stuff like that. It's like this guy who's like he's like in a baby onesie and he's like walking and he's like tripping over logs and stuff like that. And you're supposed to like
yeah,
yeah.
or, like,
Um,
have you ever, like, seen, like, all the funny sims, like Surgeon Simulator and stuff like that? You're just, like you
yeah.
have, like, no control with your hands, and you're just trying to, like, do surgery. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I wonder if there's a VR version of Surgeon Simulator. That'd be
yeah.
funny.
Now the
Um,
internet has a clip of us doing a funny dance.
I'm gonna put that on TikTok. Uh, and then there's like the best late stage capitalism roguelite goes to Stick It to the Stickman. I actually don't know about this one. I've never seen this one.
Yeah, I haven't
Stick
seen
It
it
to the
either.
Stickman. That sounds like an amazing video game title. And I mean the award is even funnier. Best late stage capitalism roguelite. Yeah. It's like it literally looks like a stick man with like a
Oh, it
machine
looks like
gun.
yeah, he's just, like, fighting a bunch of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Looks kind of cool. And then we the last award goes to the best glass demon in a leading role is Skate Story. Have you seen Skate Story?
No, I haven't.
This is like this weird, not almost psychedelic, kind of like skateboarding game. You're literally like this glass man with like a cape,
Mhm.
but it's a skateboarding game in like this ominous kind of psychedelic dark world sort of thing, but almost cyberpunk in nature. I don't know exactly. It's very hard to describe unless you look at it. But this one's kinda been on my radar too. Yeah. So I'm curious to see how this one plays out.
Yeah. Did you
So
play,
those
like,
are
skating games when you were younger, or not really?
when I was a kid,
Yeah.
like Tony Hawk and
Yeah, yeah,
stuff?
Tony Hawk.
Oh,
Pro
yeah,
Skater.
bro. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, when
I've
we were a
only
kid.
played the one, and that one's, like, on the N64. Forget what it's called. Uh,
I mean,
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. That's what it was. So that must have
yeah,
been,
that
like
might be the first one. That's the first
no,
one probably.
Pro
Is
Skater
it?
3, sorry, not the first one, but Pro Skater 3. I remember
Yeah.
playing that a
They
lot.
recently had the remake, right? Activision did the remake
Yeah,
for
yeah, they did.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Apparently, there was a Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake in the works, but it got shut down. Um Yeah. You remember what at the top of the show when I was talking about racing games being a little bit more niche
Yeah.
compared to what they used to be? Do, in the same light, do you remember how I felt like extreme sports games were a lot more
Common?
common and
Yeah, yeah.
mainstream and popular back then,
Yeah.
right? Like I felt like I remember playing like ATV Off-Road Fury. Do you
Mhm.
remember that? That was on the PS2. I remember playing like I don't know, there was always like a snowboarding
Yeah, and
game.
there's, like, a Wave Rider too for, like, N64. That was, like,
Yeah,
super
yeah, 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 yeah,
popular,
yeah.
like
Or or even some of the mainstream sports games, they would have, like, a street version. Remember, like, NBA Street
yeah, yeah.
or, like, FIFA Street, right? It would be, like I felt those way more popular back in the day. Now they're just also, like it seems like, uh, they're very niche, they're very low budget, nobody pays attention to them anymore. Like, you know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah, they kinda, like, come and go. Like,
Yeah.
they still have, like, some snow sport ones, I think, right?
Did you play the Ubisoft one? That was
Um,
really good. I played it for a little bit, and I really mean to go back, but I haven't. Riders Republic.
yeah, yeah, I heard good things about it. I've never
Oh,
played it,
that was
though.
so fun, but yeah, I don't know if it was financially successful for Ubisoft, but they went out on a limb to actually do this one. I, like, respect them. It was amazing. It was so fun. It was actually the way it controlled. There was, like, mountain biking, like, downhill mountain
Mhm.
biking in it. There was, like, skiing and snowboarding in it. There was even, like what's that squirrel scoot suit thing they do when you're in
Um,
the air?
uh, Not skydiving. It's like,
You look like a flying squirrel, right?
yeah,
Yeah. There's, there was, like, road biking in it, like, long distance. I really enjoyed that game.
yeah,
And there was, like, a hub world, and it was, like, a big world where you, like, go up on, like, hills and like, there'll be, like, snow area or, mountain bike area.
yeah. Are they making any rallies, like rallies driving games
Yeah,
anymore?
like Dirt
Yeah,
Rally and
like Dirt
stuff.
Rally and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the I played okay, so there's Dirt and there's Dirt Rally. One of them is a sim. I think Dirt Rally is the sim,
Yeah,
and
it's a
then Dirt
racing
is
sim,
the
yeah.
more arcade one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Dirt Rally 2.0 was 2019. When did
There
the
was one in
successor?
2019, I think one that launched on the PS5. Dirt 5, I think, launched on the
Yeah,
PS5.
that one's more arcadey, right? Is that
Yeah, yeah, it's more arcadey. I played that one. I played Dirt 5. It was like one of the first games on the PS5, November 6th, 2020, so it came out like same day
Mhm.
or same day as the Series X, I guess. Man, some of them are fun, and then there's a lot of indie ones too, like, Ollie Ollie World. I talked about that, I think, last week. That's a 2D, like, skateboarding game. Then from the same developers, there's, Roller Drome. That's the one where you're, like, roller skating in this, like, fighting arena where you're, like, shooting people and you're roller skating at the same time. And then there's this skate story, then there was, like, Session Skate Sim, which was more of, like, a skateboarding simulator. I think there's a VR skateboarding game. I don't know, man. I used to love extreme sports games, but I just don't feel like they have the same, like, quality and,
Yeah, it seems like it's like they kinda fly under the radar because people aren't really looking for that.
yeah, yeah. Our last story for the week is a for sure a feel-good story. There's a terminally ill fan of the Borderlands series who got the opportunity from Take-Two or Gearbox or whoever made the call there to play Borderlands 4 early, and he says it was amazing. So he was afraid that he wasn't gonna make it to the time by the time the game came out,
Mhm.
and they let him come in and play the game himself, test play it. So that I mean that's that is for sure a heartwarming story. And he says what he saw put him in awe. I mean, obviously he's also a Borderlands
Yeah,
fan,
fan.
so maybe confirmation bias. But yeah, that it is a little bit heartwarming instead of talking about layoffs and whatnot.
Mhm.
Hopefully, man, I hope he has stage 4 terminal cancer. But man, maybe Borderlands 4 is actually scheduled for this year. So hopefully he makes it and gets to play the final product.
Yeah.
That is it for stories this week. Those were some good stories.
Yeah.
Light ones, nothing too crazy. We can move on to the games we've been playing. And I want to start with you because I
Yeah.
think you have some final thoughts on Dragon Age of the Veilguard. So take it away.
Yeah, yeah. So, we were talking about, like, whether or not I would be continuing to play. So I did end up playing a little bit more this week, and I think I've kinda hit, like, the end point of where I wanna stop. So, we previously said I'm, like, very sick of, like, all the side characters. Just I don't care about them. Just like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Story, come on. So it's finally gotten to the point where I've unlocked all of the characters that you can like kind of have as your companions. And basically I've gotten to the point where I want to continue the story and just like finish the game, but they've hard locked me to do some of their storylines. So the like all the other side character storylines before I can continue with the story itself.
So it's not like a level lock. It's like, no, you got to go do this guy's side story
Yeah.
and like improve this relationship
Yeah.
before we let you proceed with the main
Yeah,
story.
it's like this Davrin is the I think the name of it, is like working on something. So like advance some of your other like character side stories, or like basically it's just saying that, you have to do some other stuff in your time before you can continue your story. So it's like forcing you to play certain like side quests and stuff like that before you can continue. And I was like, yeah, I really don't care about these people. I don't want to listen to their side story. Like, just let me continue with the story, please. Like,
Are they letting you pick which characters you could do their side story
yeah,
for,
I
or do
don't
you
know if
fix to
they
do?
force you to do all of them, but I assume like they must like let you do like at least maybe one or two of them before you can continue because like it doesn't really make sense. Um, yeah, I just like don't really care to continue any of their
There's not a
stories.
there's not a single one of them that's interesting enough for you to, like, keep playing? Not a single character where the side story is interesting enough?
No, not really.
How many side characters are we talking
I
about?
think there's like
Companions?
6 of them. There's like the necromancer, the guy who's like possessed by a demon, the veil jumper, this Neve, which sounds like Neva. That's how I remember
Never,
her. Yeah,
never.
she got real sour with me because I think I like just picked random things that made her mad. So I was like, not even by like on purpose. I just like picked random stuff, and she like constantly disapproved or something like that. And then like the one short dwarf person. Was there another one? And then there's the dragon lady. That's uh they them and
I'm sorry.
like literally I don't know any of their names. I only know I'm making like half of these like stories up based on like their info. Like based on like the things I've like
Dragon lady,
briefly
that's
read.
they, them.
Like she
The
doesn't have
dragon lady,
pronouns
that's
or
they,
whatever,
them.
right?
But no, it's just the combination of all those words together. The dragon lady.
Yeah.
That's a dragon lady.
Yeah. Well, she's like a
Yeah.
dragon like hunter or something like that. But like
Oh,
she
she's a
can
dragon
breathe
hunter.
fire or something like that. I was like,
Oh, I'm imagining literally like a effeminate dragon in human clothes.
well, like it's like a humanoid dragon thing because like she's got horns and like her skin is gray or something like that or gray blue. And,
You
like
don't remember any of these characters' names? Come on,
no,
not a single one.
other than Neve. There's Neve and there and then the guy who's
Never.
possessed by the demon is Lucanus because he sounds like a sounds it's like a cooler name and I'm like oh it's kind of like a
Lucanus.
wolf almost. Yeah, so there's only Neve and Lucanus I can remember. And then
So how far? Sorry, go ahead.
and then there's like one whose name is like Valerio, but I only remember it because it sounds like the Bellagio in Vegas.
I'm only gonna remember these names because it sounds like Never and Balatro.
Yeah, right? It's like
Yeah.
that's literally all I can remember from like their stories and like yeah, it's just like a rough time.
I heard the voice acting in the conversation feels weird because it's not like a medieval English or Scottish kind of mood. It's like a modern day
Yeah,
mood, and
yeah.
it like thematically doesn't make sense with the setting,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, that doesn't bother me as much, but yeah, they use kind of like weird like words. Like they don't speak like old time people would speak, I guess. So
It
if
bothers
you're
me.
yeah, if you're like really nitpicky about it and you think like I want to like barely understand this dialogue because I want them to speak in like old English, then you know like that's not what you're after here. I'd rather them talk in like simple English, like modern English that I can understand than having to like look up spark notes on what's happening. But I guess it doesn't really matter because I'm just skipping all the dialogue anyways. So yeah, that's my
Yeah,
rant
it's irrelevant.
on Veilguard. I'm done. Like I think I'm basically gonna uninstall it at this point. And
How far along would you say you are in the story, the main story, and how many hours have you put in the game?
oh, I'll have to open up my save file real quick. But I am level I think 25 or something. So I've unlocked like the special class designation that you can kind of unlock for your skill tree. Like there's like a basically like kind of like a hexagonal skill tree and you kind of build out your skills to what you liked playing with and I've unlocked kind of like the job unlock basically so I think I'm pretty far. I don't think I'm like super behind. I guess there's two demons that you're supposed to kill and I've killed zero of them but I've gotten close. I guess I don't know.
Oh, like 2 demons that you have to kill as part of the
As part of the
progression?
story, I assume, because it's like the dwarf gods or the elven gods that got loose.
Bro, come on,
Um,
Derwin, you gotta be a little consistent here. What are the demons? Are they dwarves? Are they
I don't know,
elves?
does it
Whatever.
matter?
I guess not. Not if you're not gonna play it anymore, and
Yeah,
if you're skipping the
I'm
dialogue.
17 hours in.
Okay, that's pretty. It's you got your foot through the door. It's probably like a main story only. I wonder how long it is main story.
Yeah,
Let's go how long to beat.
like, purely
Uh,
focusing on main story that now that I've, like, really focused on that.
well, sounds like I am not gonna pick up this game based on your review. That's it says on how long to beat. It says Dragon Age: The Veilguard. The main story is 24 and a half hours long,
So I'm
average.
must be pretty close.
You must be pretty close. And a completionist run would take you 73 hours, which actually isn't that long for like a big RPG. And not that long compared to other Dragon Age games, you know? Like Dragon Age Origins itself was probably like 40, 50 hours just for the main story.
Yeah.
And for sure was that for Inquisition.
Let's see the
Yeah, I
level.
guess
What level were you at when you finished the game? So it seems like uh level 20. Oh no, this is some other one. I don't know, it doesn't really say what level you should be around.
it this all this sounds to me like is you've been playing the wrong RPG and you should have been playing Metaphor Refantasio.
Right? I do have Metaphor Refantasio, so like I should technically be playing that. But
You should.
I'll tell you what I am playing.
Okay, so we're moved on from the Veilguard. Do you recommend for me to play the Veilguard?
No, not really.
Sounds like absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Very
But
forgettable
you're
game, I
now
feel. Like I said.
yeah, but now you're playing the game that's not forgettable because you've already gotten the platinum for it once, and now you're getting the platinum for it again. Take it away.
Yeah, so I'm now backtracking to Horizon Zero Dawn now that I'm done, trying to play the Veilguard. And yeah,
That's the
I've
remaster, right?
sorry?
The remaster. The
The
remaster that came out.
remaster, yes. So
Mm.
so I've been playing that. I played it for quite a few hours and I have decided I am going to go for the plat again on this game in the remaster because character models look good. Again, story looks good. I'm not gonna go through this. Like I like this game. I wouldn't say as
You
far as
love
like I
this game.
love this game, but I like it and it's solid. The issue is so I'm playing it on New Game Plus profile.
How are you doing that? Are
You
you
because I
oh,
play
does your
because you can transfer the save file, but the trophies don't unlock. And
oh,
that lies the issue. So in order for me to fully platinum this game, I have to finish my playthrough in the ultra setting, and then because the trophies don't auto unlock, I have to basically play the game again in order to get the unlocks for like reaching levels 10, reaching level 20, reaching level 30, finish the hunting grounds again. Um and then apparently there's a secret armor in there which I've already found, but that doesn't unlock unless you play a new game with a brand new save file that's not New Game Plus.
so you're carrying over your save file that's basically 100% completion from
Yes.
the OG Horizon Zero
Yes.
Dawn. Well, you're carrying it over to the remaster.
Yes.
You're going into New Game Plus on the remaster to play it on the ultra difficulty, the highest difficulty in the New Game Plus.
Yeah.
But because the trophies don't carry over from game one to game two, the game hasn't registered the fact you've already reached level 1, 2, 10. You've got the secret armor, stuff like
Yep.
that. So theoretically, to unlock these trophies after you beat your New Game Plus run, you'd have to start a new game again from
Yes.
scratch on a different save file and do the game again.
Yes.
And you're going to do that.
Yes. And I haven't even beat Ghost of Tsushima, so I'll probably be jumping back between the two again.
Oh my god, you're crazy, man. You're
But I
crazy. Every
really
time
want the plat again because, like,
sounds like you love this game. I don't think you just like this game. I don't know why you keep saying I like this game. No, you love this game.
yeah, maybe. But do I love it as much as Black Myth? It's getting pretty close because I beat Black Myth like 4 times. This will only be like technically uh 3 times, right? If I fully beat it.
Okay, well, I've beat Resident Evil 2 remake 4 times. it's not the same as me beating, I don't know, The Witcher 3 4 times, right? It's 2 different
Yeah,
ball
yeah, I
games,
guess
right?
so.
Is it Black Myth? I don't think it's as long as Horizon, is it? It's more linear too, so on your other
I don't
playthroughs,
know.
you
I
might have
actually
been.
don't think it's that bad. If you ignore all of the side quests, because like technically for your ultra playthrough, you don't need to finish all the side quests. You just have to finish the main storyline. I don't think it's very long. I'm like pretty close. I'm sure. Like I'm probably like a few more hours away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, so you're getting there. Well, I'm curious, what would you say? I mean, first of all, on a side note, every time these remasters come out from Sony, and everybody on the internet's like, "What the heck? Why are they doing this? What's the point of this? Who's buying this? Who wants this?" Now I know who wants it. It's guys like you
yeah.
who want to get the platinum toys. But what would you say from first party Sony games? What would you say is your favorite either game or franchise of the big ones?
Uncharted.
Uncharted
Mhm.
would be your number one.
Uncharted is my number one. Then probably God of War, like right after it. So like Uncharted is like top tier. I've beat Uncharted 1, 2, 3, 4 at least twice each.
Lost Legacy?
Lost Legacy, I've beaten twice, technically, because I do have the platinum in it, I'm pretty sure. So I've
Don't tell me you got platinums on those games. Did you get platins
yeah,
on all
I
those
have
games?
platinums on well, I was playing on my friend's like PS3 back in the day. We're no longer friends, but that's a long story. But yeah, so I've beat I've beaten all four of the Uncharted multiple times. Like I've played it on his PS3, and then I got a PS4 and I played it on that. And then when like the Nathan Drake collection came through, I'm pretty sure I played it on the ultra hard difficulty on that. Thief's End, I've definitely played like 3 times, or at least 2 times.
Thief's
Yeah,
such a good game, man.
yeah,
Such a good
yeah,
game, yeah.
and yeah,
Um,
like just top tier storytelling, top like tier acting from Nathan Fillion. I love all the
those
characters
are
in Uncharted.
I love all the characters too. But those are not easy plats. If I recall looking at the trophy list, those were not easy plats. They asked you to do like above and
Yeah,
beyond.
yeah. I don't have the I don't have the like secondary ones like where you have to like speed run the game or like play as like Fat Drake or whatever like that, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
do
yeah,
have
yeah.
the base like game.
So you like 100%ed the game, but you didn't. 'Cause do you remember like trophies back in the PS3
Yeah.
era and the 360 era achievements? I felt like they were more, they weren't about game completion as much as they were about partially game completion, but then sometimes also asking you to do tasks
Yeah.
that don't really fit into game completion. And in that console generation, as much of as a perfectionist I am, like mentally, cognitively, um, I would just avoid them like the plague because they would usually be ridiculous. It's like I'm not gonna play this game in 45 minutes when it's an 8-hour game, figure out some speed run. I'm not gonna like kill 100 enemies using only, I don't know, a brick. Whatever. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Right? Like some of the trophies were wild. And I felt like those Uncharted trophies were wild.
You really think so? I didn't think
I
they were
thought
that
so.
hard.
I'm usually when I play a game, I usually play a game, don't look at the trophy list. I'm done. I'll look at the trophy list, see how far along I am to the plat.
Yeah.
If I'm really close and it and I could easily access the areas that I missed, like if it's an open world game, you could go back and do those missions.
You can
Or if
though.
it's
So with the
there's chapter select,
yeah,
right?
through chapter select.
Yeah, but still, even then, I would decide. I'm like, is this worth it or not? I like played the game. I looked at the Uncharted trophies, and I'm like, hell no.
Really?
Those are like, well, yeah, they were like. That's funny. You got a big freaking
Okay,
glow in your eyes.
the most annoying plat. I guess we'll talk about this. We didn't mean to talk about it, but the most annoying plat I've ever had to do was definitely like Dynasty Warriors, I think 8, because that one was back in the same generation too. And there was like so many like things where you had to like constantly grind out the same level because like each level has like certain things that you can done get done in terms of objectives, and like if you do this one, then you can't go back to this one, and stuff like that. That was like
Yeah.
so long.
Yeah, those are annoying. Um, so you would say Uncharted is your number
Yeah,
1, then
probably God of
then
War.
like the reboot or God of War in
God
general?
of War, the reboot.
Yeah.
And then probably like Horizon Zero Dawn and Spider-Man. Like I think if Spider-Man 2 was a little bit of a hard hitter and fulfilled me in terms of story, it probably would be higher up. Like, but it just kind of failed.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I would say I'm probably a 3 or 4 way between I would say first is probably actually, that's hard because that's like PS4, PS5 bias. Looking back, like, I was a big fan of Sly Cooper, big fan of Ratchet and Clank growing up, big fan of, like, Jack and Daxter.
hmm.
So, it would be tough for me to say exactly what I think, but Ratchet and Clank has gotta be up there as one of my favorite franchises.
Oh yeah.
Same with Sly Cooper. Same with Sly Cooper. I would say God of War is up there too. Ghost of Tsushima now is broken into that, even though it's one game. Last of Us for sure, and then Spider-Man. Yeah, something along that lines. The only game that I've done something similar to what you're doing right now with Horizon
Hmm.
was the OG Spider-Man. The OG Spider-Man I played to like 100% completion on the hardest difficulty, and then they added the new game plus, and it had a trophy for beating it on ultimate difficulty.
Hmm.
So then I started a new game plus on ultimate difficulty, but my brain was like, it'd be cheating if I just run through the story because that means I haven't fought all the side characters. I haven't done all the side quests on ultimate difficulty. So I proceeded to do everything in the game again on ultimate difficulty. So I basically 100%ed the game twice.
Hmm.
Like I 100%ed it on the hard difficulty and then 100%ed it on the ultimate difficulty. I love that OG Spider-Man, man. That was such a good game.
I'm gonna just do an exercise and check what our trophy stats are.
Hour, like me and your.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Recent
could check
profile.
Uncharted and go.
Yeah. Why don't you tell me about what you're playing, and I'm just gonna check your trophy
Sure,
stuff.
sure. Okay. So I have been playing several games. Um, Kind of waiting for Indiana Jones and the Last Circle to come out. Um, so we got a couple weeks from there. I was gonna hop onto Stalker 2, and that was kind of what I was gonna do to fill my time right now. Stalker 2 didn't came out to a buggy mess, so I'm gonna put that one on hold and see what happens. So I've been playing some other games on my downtime. There was Black Friday sales on the PlayStation Store and in hard brick and mortar stores. So I picked up. Well, I actually didn't pick this one up. This first one up. The first one is on the PlayStation Plus subscription, but it's going to be taken off, I believe, on the 20th of December. That is Metal Hellsinger. Metal Hellsinger is an indie game from 2022, developed by the Swedish developer The Outsiders. Um, in Unity Engine. I'm trying to think of who published it or if it was indie published as well. Funcom published it. Is a Norwegian video game developer and publisher. Okay, so this is a rhythm based, heavy metal themed, rhythm based first person like Doom shooter. And what I mean rhythm based, it's literally a rhythm game and a first person shooter together like a Doom shooter. And the rhythm is the music behind it is heavy metal. It's got a bunch of heavy metal tracks from well-known bands and artists. Um, it's very like soft on the plot. You're this thing called the unknown, and you're like a lost soul in hell. And basically, the devil runs hell, and there's like 7 other minor devils under him, and you're trying to break out of hell. Very like the cutscenes are very soft. It's nothing crazy. They're just like stop motion cutscenes, and it's like you know, the story is light, right? It's the game comes down to the gameplay. And you basically go through, there are 8 levels in the game. I believe there might be more levels via DLC or not. There's 8 levels and there's 3 like challenge missions under each level that you could play after you beat the level. Um, you essentially are in hell. You're like this demon creature and you're fighting other demon creatures. And it's almost like playing old school Doom or like the newer Dooms and Doom Eternal and whatnot. And it's just this fast paced game. And you have to, the idea is the way you play this game and you play it right is you play to the beat of the rhythm. There's both visual cues that tell you where your crosshairs on in the middle of the screen that tell you when you are hitting the beat correctly. And there's obviously audio cues because you're listening to the music. And you just go around in hell. There's different guns that you have, um, different weapons you unlock as you progress. And the levels have a lot of replayability. Like there's, you could do higher difficulties or whatever. And man, you just go around, and every time you hit the your actions to the beat, and your actions not only include shooting, but they include like dashing, jumping, and like reloading too. If you reload to the beat, you get like a bonus score, which it's like a positive feedback loop. It makes the game easier. You do more damage, and you have this meter that tracks you, which gives you like it's like almost your power. I don't know exactly what it's called. It's almost like a power meter where it's like you're on times two, you're on times four, you're on times eight, you're on times 16. And the higher you up the game, the more the music kicks in. So on bass times two, there's almost like just the bass music in the background. And then you up it to times four, it's like another instrument comes in. You up it to times eight, it's like all the instruments are playing. At times 16, the vocals are in. It's for sure heavy metal. It's like like it's just straight like growling and whatnot. And there's actually some like singer female vocalists, so it's not just heavy metal in the growling sense, but also like instruments. And it's just, dude, I don't know how to explain this to you. Once you get a hang of the game and you're in the beat and you're going through this level and you're switching and you're reloading your weapon, switching weapons, and all these demons come out and you're just like killing them to the beat, and you're just like literally sitting there like head bopping. And like if you're not into heavy metal, it's not your genre. I would still say that shouldn't be something that deters you from this game. Even if it's not something you would listen to on the side, it's like it's amazing. It's like the vibe that it gives you. The music is perfect along with the theme of the game and the combat and the gameplay, and it's just it's so much fun. I can't like I'm about probably halfway through it. I've done like maybe 4 out of the 8 levels on like the normal difficulty,
Yeah.
and man, you're just going through hell and you're just shooting up all these demons. I would say its weaker thing is, yeah, the story, whatever, the cutscene. That's fine. They could save money on that. I don't care. But I feel like there's not that much enemy variety. It would have been nice if there was more enemy variety. And it would have been nice if the bosses were a little bit different. The bosses seem too similar to each other.
Mm.
But man, this game, I actually played the demo for this game back in 2022, about like a week or two after my oldest son was born. And I was like looking forward to playing it. I got a little bit busy, so I didn't play when it came out. But it was on Game Pass, I think, when it came out. They took it off Game Pass. It got added to PS Plus. And eh, and it's recently kind. I should probably stop doing this now that we're trying to do this podcast. I usually never play games when they get added to PS Plus or Game Pass. I usually freak out and play them when they're going to take them off. So it's probably not. I've already come here on the show and talked about a game that I've played that they were going to take off, and I'm like, oh no, like they've already taken it off by the time the podcast airs. It did win best audio at the Golden Joystick Awards in 2022 when it came out. It got nominated for best score in music at the Game Awards in 2022. Yeah, so sitting at, it's like a 79 on Metacritic. I don't know, man. I thought this game was wonderful. Um, the original soundtrack is, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know any of these bands. I actually kind of tinkered with heavy metal a little bit when I was in university, but I never stuck around with the genre. But there's like Dark Tranquility, Arch Enemy, Juniture, Trivium, Dark Crown, Initiate, Soul. Soilwork, Lamb of God, who I used to listen to, System of the Down. Um, yeah. So it's dude, it's so fun. It's so fun. You just go in and you're shooting to the beat, and the positive feedback loop it gives you every time you're hitting the right shots on the right beat is wonderful. So yeah, I definitely recommend Metal Hellsinger. Uh, and if you can pick it up on sale, I would do so. There is a VR version of the game that just came out on PSVR 2. Um, I thought I was holding on waiting. I was I was holding out to play this game because I thought I would rather just play it in VR. But it turns out the VR version when it came out was not like an update of the game. It's not like there was a VR mode added to the game. And it's not like it was like just a port or something. No, it's like a standalone purchase.
Oh,
So I'm not really sure how much it actually has to do with the game. Like um is it just a new game in the same universe and it's just called Metal Hellsinger VR? I didn't look too close into it. I just assumed Metal Hellsinger VR. It's a port. It must be like Resident Evil 4 port. Maybe they'll add it as a DLC or maybe they'll add it as a free mode.
yeah.
But no, it's a standalone purchase. So
It's on sale right
I
now
said I'll
for
play this.
27.99.
Yeah, I think I saw it. So I might pick it up after I finish uh m- the base Metal Hellsinger. I'm not really sure if it's exactly the same game, just in VR mode, but they decided to sell it separately.
I think it is probably the same game, but with a VR redesign. Yeah, so
But they usually
says Metal Hellsinger VR redesigns the acclaimed rhythm shooter from the ground up. So that's probably
makes
why
sense.
they like rebuilt it for VR specifically. So that's why they want to charge
Makes
the $27.99 Canadian.
Makes sense, makes sense. Um, yeah, they usually when they usually do stuff like that, sometimes like a free update, like Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 4 remake. Those are free updates, the VR modes. Um, or it's like a DLC or something. But anyway, that's Metal Hellsinger. Another game I've been playing is Braid Anniversary Edition. So Braid Anniversary Edition is a remaster of the video game Braid, which is an indie and also an indie game. You guessed it, indie puzzle platformer from like the Xbox Live Arcade era. It's one of the kind of the goats of the Xbox Live Arcade service back in the day. The OG came out in 2009, and the remaster just came out this year. So the remaster changes the visuals, and I think it adds, and I haven't gotten to that yet, but it adds like a commentary level, so an additional level. The game comes from the developer Number None, and it's from the famous dev Jonathan Blow. So this game, I actually didn't know much about this game when it came out, and it was never on my indie radar ever. But only after this anniversary edition came did I hear like, oh, this is from like the acclaimed game from the past. So I'm like, okay, I guess I got to check it out. And so it's all novel to me. Never played the game before, and it's exactly that. It's just a simple platformer where you really could just go from like you're like an almost in a storybook world-ish. There's like 6 chapters. You go through the chapters and it like takes you from one door to another. This the story's kind of soft, is light, but the 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 core of the game is actually the collectibles, really. Because if you want to just run through the game without the collectibles, you could do that with no problem, and you're really not playing a game, and you're really not solving any puzzles, and you're really not doing anything.
Mhm.
But like each world has its own puzzle piece set that you're supposed to solve, and you get it by finding the puzzle pieces in the individual levels. So each world has like 5 or 6 levels, very short levels, but the whole idea is there's a gimmick in the game, and the base gimmick is you can rewind time. Um, and so you really can't die in this game
Yeah,
because if you die,
you
you
just
just rewind
rewind.
time. But a lot of the puzzles solved involve you using this ability. And each world has an additional kind of gimmick added to it. There's one world where when you rewind time, you rewind back to where you were, but it creates a copy of you that proceeds to recreate everything you did before that rewind. For example, there is a world where you rewind time, but there are some objects in the world and some enemies in the world and yourself, if you're standing on the right spot, that won't rewind. They won't be affected by the rewind. They're usually like, they have like a green color on them. There's one world where you automatically rewind time by stepping backwards because it's a 2D platformer. You go from left to right. If you walk back from right to left, you actually rewind time.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes the actions will happen if you're rewinding time and you're walking on a certain platform somewhere, but when you actually got to the platform the first time, you were holding a key or something up there, it'll rewind it back that way. Um, it's genius, like as a puzzle game and as a platformer, absolutely genius. So I'm yet to beat it. I'm on World 6. I finished World 6, but I'm trying to get all the puzzle pieces. Like to try and 100% it before I move on to the last little chapter and before I do the commentary world. Um, the last ones I have are puzzle pieces I have to find. Bro, they're hard. They're hard. I cannot figure out how to solve these puzzles. Like later levels in the game, they're brain teasers for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, they're brain teasers. Like if you're into like that kind of brain teaser, if you're into that those 2D puzzle platformers, I recommend this game for sure. If you haven't played the original Braid, I got it on sale on the PS Store for this like I think the base game is only like 20 bucks anyway, this remaster, or like 25 Canadian dollars on the PlayStation Store. But I think I got it on sale for like 12 or something on the PlayStation Network. Um, so yeah, so each world has like a time-based mechanic, and you go through it and try to find all these puzzles and solve these puzzles. It's it's a wonderful game. Unfortunately, recently the developer was on record saying the remaster didn't sell very well and he was banking money on the remaster selling. This developer also made the very famous and respected, well noted like game The Witness, which is also a puzzle game. If you've heard of it, I mean, kind of don't have that much sympathy for the developer considering he made this Braid in 2009 and then The Witness in 2016, and the only thing he's had come out since then is Braid Remaster in 2024. Seems like 8 years is crazy. I know he was working on an own in-house engine or something. Anyway, recently he was on record saying, literally quote unquote, the game sold like dog shit, and basically he had to like lay off all his staff, and he can't afford to pay any of the people working on whatever he's working on next. So that's unfortunate because I mean, whoever did this is a genius. But yeah, good game too. I would recommend if you're into those puzzle platformer type games, especially like a Limbo or an Inside or something like that. It's a little bit different than Limbo Inside. I'd say it's a little bit more puzzly, but yeah, instead of more like platformy, it's not about like precision platforming as much as it's about solving the puzzle and then executing it, right? So that is Braid Anniversary Edition. I have also been playing Balatro. No need to discuss that
Yeah.
any further, I think,
Just
from last
just
week. I don't
straight
really have
hooked.
much to say. Just straight hooked. It's such a fun game, such a wonderful game. If you haven't gotten on Balatro, I told my friends about it. A buddy of mine literally this morning messaged me. He's like, I spent 45 minutes on the toilet yesterday playing Balatro. He made the
Yeah.
mistake and got the mobile version. So I can't recommend it enough. It's a genius card game. If you're not, I mean, if you're not that heavy into gaming, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast and you wouldn't be this deep into it anyway. But if you could get it on your phone, if you have a Nintendo Switch, a handheld console, anything, I can't recommend it enough. Balatro is just a wonderful game.
Yeah, I've heard a
And
bunch of
I
my
don't know if
friends
I've
are
played.
also hooked, so
Are they
yeah.
actually? Did I feel like there's been an increase in conversation about it ever since the Game Award
Yeah, I think so,
nomination. Is that
probably.
true? Yeah, yeah. So it's a spectacular game, and I don't think I've played it enough to say, oh yeah, for sure it deserves a Game Award nomination compared to the other stuff. But
But you're
maybe
still
it'll get there
playing, so
eventually. Still playing. One more thing, one more game I want to mention is of course I've been playing more Call of Duty Black Ops 6, but I've kind of detoxed from it. I'm not really too much into Warzone. I'm not really feeling Warzone. I kind of seen everything there is to see in multiplayer. But last night we had a night, man. Me and the boys. We played private lobbies, two game modes that got added to the rotation. Sometimes they take these game modes on and add them back on off. But there is infected. and prop hunt. So infected is effectively everybody's on the same team when the game starts. The game randomly picks one infected person who becomes a zombie and runs around like a zombie in the map
Yeah.
and has nothing but like a throwing axe. That's your only weapon you got, and you could melee. But when you melee, you one hit kill. And basically, the infected's job is to get all the survivors infected, and the survivor's job is to just outlast the infected till the end of the time. So you run around as the infected. You're the first infected. You try to kill somebody, right? And then once you kill that person, he's on your side, and then you could see the number of survivors
Yeah,
like
yeah.
dwindling down. And then you like play to the end and try to be the last survivor alive. Or if you're on the infected team, you're trying to get the survivors out. Just shits and giggles, man. It's such a wonderful game mode. We played it like literally private lobby. There was like 8 of us who played 4v4, or I guess in that mode you're like eight. You start off as eight, and then one
Yeah.
person goes infected, and
7v1.
yeah, yeah. And then we also played prop hunt, which is two teams. We split it four on this one. There is the prop team, and there's the team that's supposed to seek and destroy them. And you're literally the team that's a prop is you're literally
Yeah, like an
an
item. Yeah.
object that's in the in the map,
It's like hide and
and
seek
you
with
have
guns.
yeah, it's hide and seek basically, and you have three stuns as a prop. You could use like a stun grenade as a prop to stun that your assailant. Three decoys where you could create decoys of yourself in the place, and then three times where you could change the prop you are, right?
Mhm.
And then every 30 seconds, if you're in a spot and you haven't moved, your prop whistles. So they could hear where the whistle's coming from and try to figure out which one you are. Same thing, bro. Just straight shits and giggles. Such a fun. It's almost like a party game. I didn't think I'd call Call of
Yeah.
Duty like a party game, but it's like straight up party game. Like it's not really like the skill is not in the shooting,
Yeah,
right?
it's like just messing
It,
around and trying to,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
hide
Yeah,
and
you're just
yeah.
messing around. There was one map that we played, it was like, one of my friends screwed up. He was on the other team and he, like, changed his prop too much, and his last prop was literally a 20-foot statue of, like, Saddam Hussein on one of the
Yeah,
Iraq
yeah,
maps, and
from
he's walking around like this, and he's just walking around like this as a prop, and he's, like, in the swimming pool, and we're like, "What the hell is
oh, that's good.
like there was one game where me and my friend were like mats and we found like the perfect like place where there was already objects that are like that, and I'm sitting there quiet not moving, and then my friend literally changes to that prop and comes and sits beside me, and like almost didn't realize that I was already right there, and there's just like two of us sitting there. I'm like, yo bro, I'm right beside you. He's like, oh shit. So it was yeah, it's such a fun game. Then we ended off the night by playing like 4v4 just multiplayer team deathmatch, but just sniping each other. Also private lobby. Just sniping or using rocket launchers or using throwing
Yeah.
axes or using knives. That was it. You're not allowed to use like an auto weapon or anything. Also super fun. Yeah. So that's it for me this week. You have any other thoughts or
Yeah,
anything?
yeah.
I
So
think
I was looking at our trophy list just because we were talking about trophies, just to kind of compare. And I think I'll just go through one of these things. We can talk about some of the other stats, maybe like on a later episode or something like that. So both me and you were pretty similar in terms of however many trophies we've collected, but I want to go specifically talk about the ultra rare trophies because those are like you know, percentages of people that have actually ever gotten the trophy. So you have 2. Do you have an idea
what are
of
the
what
ultra
ultra rare trophy you have?
what is an ultra rare
So
trophy? It's not a gold or a platinum. It's
no,
just based on
yeah, it's
percentage
just
of people
based
who
on
have.
percentage of people that have actually gotten this trophy.
How do you check that?
So there's a psnprofiles.com and you can kind of put in your username. Don't do it right now because we're playing the game, but
Oh, but it's not off the original official PS
no,
app.
no.
The PS app just tells you you have gold, silver,
Yeah, yeah.
bronze,
And then it
and
gives you some stats about like how well you're
plat.
you're doing in like the trophy department.
Dude, I have no idea.
You were just talking about it.
Just talking
Yeah.
about it right now? I beat New Game Plus Spider-Man on ultra
No.
difficulty?
So, your rares 2 trophies, so you have 2 ultra rares, is both on Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Yeah, so
What?
you have a trophy named Sleuth and a trophy, titled Centennial, both from Black Ops 4. Sleuth is the most rare one. It's you only 2.6% of people that own the game actually have the trophy, and then Centennial is 3.19%. So that involves you unlocking all the stars and all of the stars in game. So that one is Centennial,
All
and
the
then
stars.
Sleuth,
I don't even know what that is. Unlocking what stars?
some sort of stars. So like will require you to complete all three skirmishes on all three difficulties in the specialist HQ in terms of difficulty. So this must be something to do with the story mode.
There is no
Yeah.
story mode on Call of Duty Black Ops
I
6.
don't know.
That's so weird.
One
I played that game for a
yeah,
month. That was Black Ops 4. That was like
yeah.
2018. I played that game for like a month, honestly.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think
What was the
you
other?
have to complete the stars as like different classes or specialists. And that's what it is.
What's the other one?
And then the other one is the sleuth one, which is going into the specialist HQ menu, you can check out the intel part of your story tab. So this one must have had a story. Black Ops 4.
It had like this weird
Yeah.
BS training
So you
story
need
thing. So I think I did the training mode, and it looks like nobody else did the training mode, and that's why I have that
yeah.
trophy. That's literally what it sounds like. It sounds like it's the dumb training mode that they added instead of a
Yeah.
campaign. I did it, and that was
So
it.
this one is
And that's why
Intel file name. So you just basically had to like complete different parts of the story. So I assume probably nobody played the story. So
exactly, that's why.
yeah.
That's so
And
weird. That would
then
have never happened.
mine is actually like an uncalled for game. So I only have one ultra
You
rare.
have 1?
Um
Yeah.
do you have an idea of what this might be in?
Horizon Zero
No.
Dawn.
Mine is actually in Jackbox
Uncharted.
Party Pack.
Holy
So
smokes.
that one's kind of funny because if you know me, I'm like super introverted, so I don't really like playing like a lot of like multiplayer stuff. But the
Yeah.
trophy I have is word spud, word heard, and it says play a full 8-player game, and that's for Jackbox. So it's like the most extroverted sounding trophy that I have.
Play an 8-player game. Who'd you play 8-player Jack in the
I
Box
think it
with?
was just like back in the day, like a house party or something, or something along the lines of that. But apparently, I played an 8-player game before in Jackbox, and that's
That's
my
funny.
rarest trophy. So, I mean, clearly, not that many people have 7 other friends to play with, I guess.
That is funny. Uh,
Yeah,
anyway, Derwin, it was nice talking to you again. And next week we got special episode. No, next week we got one more regular next week, right?
yeah.
And then it'll be the week after that where we got special episode, the Game Awards predictions episode. I am excited for that. That'll be December 8th because the Game Awards is on the 12th. Whew. One more week of regular news and then fun stuff. Then the week after that would be even more exciting. We're gonna do our Game Awards reactions, December 15th. I feel like we really need to start seeing what's coming out this year because like next year, because I feel like the release calendar is empty, man. It's just February. February's stacked. It's always stacked. Every year it's stacked, but nothing else going from there. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.